Okay, so showing 6 o'clock, we can call our meeting to order. Welcome, everyone. First order of business is to look for additions or deletions to the agenda. Are there any? I am not aware of any, so we'll move the agenda as we are. Go to the roll call. Sarah, I believe that's you. And we could do we have to announce where we're at, don't we?
Yes.
Yes, but do you want to take a vote on the agenda first and then do roll call, or do you want to do roll call?
Yeah, we probably should, shouldn't we? I guess I kind of skipped over that since there wasn't any changes. So we'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Support.
Okay, motion support. Any additions or corrections, deletions? Hearing none, all those in favor would be a thumbs up and a yay.
Aye.
Yay.
Yay.
Opposed, thumbs down and a nay. Looks like it's passed. Okay. So Sarah, now it'll be you in the roll call.
Thank you. And yes, I do need locations, please. Commissioner Warnick?
Present, Alma, Michigan.
Commissioner Stahl?
Present in Alma, Michigan.
Commissioner Pitts?
Present, Alma, Michigan.
Commissioner Piccolo?
Present, Storm Lake, Iowa.
Commissioner Allman?
Present in Alma, Michigan.
Vice Mayor Harrington?
Present in Alma, Michigan.
And Mayor Mapes?
Present in Elma, Michigan.
Thank you. We do have a quorum.
Okay, thank you very much. And again, welcome everyone. Next order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. Aaron, do you have a flag to display for us? Everyone, please rise and join us in reciting the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, very good. Next up, we'll entertain a motion to approve the May 11, 2021 work session minutes, the May 11, 2021 regular meeting, and the May 18, 2021 budget review special meeting minutes.
Move approval of all three.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Are there any additions, corrections, deletions, objections of any kind? Seeing none, all those in favor, again, would be a thumbs up and a yay.
Aye.
Yay.
Opposed is going to be a thumbs down and a nay. Looks like the motion is passed. Moving down to communications, we have a communication from James B. Davidson regarding the sidewalk in front of the incomplete medical office on East Warwick Drive. I think it is East Warwick Drive. So recommendation is we receive that communication. Your pleasure.
Move to receive.
Support.
Matt, did you want to make any comments, or Dave?
I would tell you, Greg, that's the unfinished business that's been there. And we discussed this after this came in. And I think the more than even the eyesore is the other issues that we have there. And so we will go ahead and make the appropriate letters, but I do believe we're probably going to end up in a situation where we may have to use Mr. Costanzo, as this may end up in a court situation as far as getting this done. There's haven't been the most responsive folks to this date at this point in time.
Refresh my memory. Did they tear that? There was sidewalk there and they tore it up, right? When they started the construction of that building?
Correct.
So are we able to establish a special assessment district and put the sidewalk in and assess them 100% for the repairs?
I'd have to take a look, but I don't think that's going to be necessary. I think if they destroyed a sidewalk that was already there, they ought to be on the hook for that, just by virtue of the fact they damaged it.
We could do that without it doing something.
I have not looked, but I would certainly assume that be the case, because you think about somebody who wasn't a property owner in the city of Elma just destroyed a sidewalk. I think they ought to be responsible.
I'm thinking that the district might be more effective than taking them to court.
The issue too is how, I don't know, the extent of the damage, Greg, a lot of it too is wash, I believe, that's coming down from where the dirt is there too. So to get to really how much damage there is it been completely destroyed or is it sunken down, to look into that and see where it's at too.
So that's a soil erosion violation then, isn't it?
Could be.
So can we fine him for that, or can the drain commissioner fine him for that or something?
That I'll have to look into at that point. We'll have to explore this thing, but I do believe we're gonna have to be ready, just based on where we've been in the past with some of the communications back and forth, that we'll need to be going to court.
Anybody else have questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, we've got a motion to receive that. So all those in favor, be a thumbs up and a yay.
Aye.
Any opposed would be thumbs down and a nay. And it looks like staff is going to come back with a solution on that then. Be our expectation. Do you think you'll have something for us by our next meeting, Matt?
Yeah. Yeah,
At least
definitely,
a
Greg.
plan, if not-
We'll have where we're going, what the direction will be by the next meeting.
Moving along to hearings. First up is a public hearing to consider the final special assessment district roll number 2 for 2018 for the construction of sidewalks on Pleasant Avenue. So being after 6 o'clock, we'll open the public hearing.
I think we need a motion, Greg.
Move to open.
Support.
By motion support, all those in favor, thumbs up and a yay.
Aye.
Any opposed or thumbs down and a nay? The motion is passed and the hearing is open. David, are you going to do this one?
Yeah, thank you. While I open up the screen share, I'll start off by first apologizing to all the residents that are here. As mentioned in previous SAD discussions, we tried to hold off on these as long as we could so that we could have a public meeting and not have these on Zoom, just for the fact of inconvenience for everybody. But the way it was looking, we weren't going to be able to open up for public meetings and in person. So kind of had to get moving with this. So I apologize if this is inconvenient for anyone to show up to, or if it was a problem to attend. So we held off as long as we could, but it was time to kind of move on. So that explains kind of the timeline with this, and hopefully everybody can bear with us. As talked about, first we'll talk about the sidewalk, the placement as a part of the street reconstruction program that happened, probably a couple of years ago now. We're looking at this red area indicates the new sidewalk that was constructed on the east side of Pleasant Avenue. As you can see, there's no existing sidewalk on the west side. And as per past precedents, when we put in a new sidewalk and there's no sidewalk on the opposing side, we special assess both sides. And that also helps to reduce the cost for all property owners that are involved with this. So there isn't such a hefty bill just because your side was chosen for the sidewalk. Based on this cost, we put it on whatever side is the cheapest, but because of that, we've set up to try to be more fair so that both sides have to pay for its initial construction. So that question's come up in the past, and that's the reason why we assess both sides. And what we do is charge per lot frontage. So these were all of the addresses and parcel ID numbers that we set the special assessment up for, and their cost per lineal foot. This is the exact amount that it costs per lineal foot. I'll show you the next slide just for comparison. The next slide was the estimate that was sent out to everybody when this was set up initially. And you can see what the initial or the estimated cost amounts were. We're a shade under what we were thinking we were going to be for the approximate cost. So that was a good thing. And then it also shows everyone's lot frontage. And this is just lot frontage that's along Pleasant Avenue. So if you're on a corner lot, you don't get double zinged or anything like that. This is only for new construction of new sidewalk on Pleasant Avenue, and you're only assessed for the side of the road, or excuse me, your lot frontage that faces Pleasant Avenue. So that was the estimate. I'll go back to the as constructed cost.
Thank you, David. Does anyone have any questions? Anyone on the commission have any questions? Hearing none, is there any members of the public that would like to comment or have questions? And Aaron, I believe, would you see anybody if there is anybody indicating they'd like to talk?
who do live along Pleasant Avenue. I know Mr.
But you're not
LaForge.
seeing any hands raised, or?
I am looking over that information right now. Give me just one second.
And while we're waiting, I'll just explain the city of Alma pays in half of that cost, and the property owner share in the other half.
I do not see any hands raised, Greg, but if you would like to speak and you're a member of the public, you can unmute now and address the commission.
Okay, it seems perhaps that there are no comments coming from the public at this point. So with that, we would look for a motion to close the public hearing at this point.
So moved.
Support.
The motion support. Any additional comments or questions? Last chance. Hearing none. Those in favor would be a thumbs up and a yay.
Aye.
Any opposed are thumbs down and a nay. The motion is passed. The hearing is closed. Next up, we can entertain a motion to adopt a resolution ratifying the Special Assessment District Rule Number 2 for 2018, establishing a payment schedule and setting interest rate.
So moved.
Support.
I have a motion in support. And Sarah, do you have the interest rate? And are we giving 5 years on this if someone wants to choose that route?
5 years is standard, and the interest rate as of today would be 1.82%.
If they could, those that are being assessed can either pay the whole amount in with one check or one payment, or if they do not choose to pay it all at once, it'll be added to their taxes over 5 years, and they'll pay a 1.82%. You said?
I'm sorry, Mayor, I just got a message from Aaron that one of the members of the public raised his hand just after we closed the public hearing. I'm not sure how we handle that.
We could move to reopen if you wanted to hear. I mean, I think if
I would like to do
under the
that.
circumstances, I think that's probably a good idea. Could just move to reopen.
I move to
And
reopen.
move
the
to
hearing.
support.
We have a motion.
We have a motion on the
We
floor
have a
right
motion
now.
on the floor.
Would you like to withdraw that motion for now?
Who made it? Me? Yeah, withdraw it.
Yes.
Withdraw
You
it.
withdraw?
I withdraw the second if that was mine.
Okay, so now we'll entertain a motion to reopen the hearing.
So moved.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion support. All those in favor, once again, would be a thumbs up and a yay.
Aye.
Any opposed, a thumbs down and a nay. The hearing has been reopened. And Aaron, can you tell us, or is there, I can't see. I see a 1 plus, is it Nordic? Oh, no, that's not it. I'm sorry.
I apologize. I jumped the gun. You guys were literally getting into the next thing, my question. So
Do I understand that there is not a question, sir?
no, so I had a question. The next thing you guys were going to say was going to answer it. I jumped the gun. So I apologize.
Okay, no problem. I'd rather we do it this way and give you the opportunity twice than to pass it over and not for you not to have the opportunity. So with that, is there anybody else that would like to speak on this topic before we close it again? I'm seeing none. So at this point, we will again entertain a motion to close the public hearing for the Special Assessment District Rule Number 2 for 2018 for the construction of sidewalks on Pleasant Avenue.
So moved.
And support.
Motion and support. Any comments, questions? Hearing none. All those in favor, be a thumbs up and a yay.
Aye.
Hey.
Any opposed, thumbs down again. And it looks like the motion is passed. The hearing is closed. Now, again, we'll entertain a motion to adopt the resolution ratifying the Special Assessment District Rule Number 2 for 2018, establishing a payment schedule and setting the interest rate for the Pleasant Avenue sidewalks. And I believe we talked about it typically being the residents have an option to pay it all in one lump sum, or they can add it to their tax bill over 5 years and we'll charge them the current interest rate, which I believe Sarah told us was 1.82%. Is that rate correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
So moved.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion and support. Is there any comments or questions? And hopefully that's clear to any of the property owners that are listening what their options are. If you do have any additional questions and you don't want to ask them in the public forum, please contact probably Sarah, Matt, or David could answer any of the questions. Any of those three could certainly answer your questions on how this works. So if there's any technical issues on the payment side of things. Seeing none, and I don't believe there's anything right now, is there, Aaron? No one's looking to speak? Okay. All right. So we have a motion on the floor. All those in favor, say aye. Thumbs up.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed would be thumbs down and a nay. Looks like that motion is passed and the special assessment district rule is established. So now we'll entertain a motion to open the public hearing for review of special assessment district rule number 3 for 2018, which is the construction of the sanitary sewer leads on Pleasant Avenue.
Move to open hearing.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion and support. All those in favor, thumbs up and a yay. Any opposed would be thumbs down and nay. Looks like the hearing is opened. Thank you. David, is this you again, I believe?
Yep, you get to hear from me again. Lucky, lucky, lucky.
Thumbs up and a yay.
Yeah, this is for the excuse me here, I'm going to get the right slide. This is for the construction of the sanitary sewer laterals on Pleasant Avenue, or the replacement thereof. And as you can see, this is the district that we replaced it on, as between Eastward and Rosedale Avenue, complete reconstruction and replacement of that sanitary sewer main that's there. And as a part of that, we replaced the sanitary sewer laterals from the main to just beyond the curb line, as long as it's not as long as it's not Schedule 40 or SDR 26 plastic. If it's a flimsy plastic or it's clay or anything of that nature, we replace it with plastic and charge the adjacent homeowner the footage that we replaced. So if there was already acceptable plastic there, we just connected as is, and we didn't charge the homeowners anything. So that explains kind of the synopsis of it. And this is the final amount for what was placed. And this is the district here. So we'll scroll to the next one. This shows the exact amount that we replaced for the footages of the laterals from the main to be on the curb line. You'll notice there are some fluctuations in the lineal footages. Reasons for those is we go till we find an acceptable pipe to connect to. If it's broken, if there's cracks in it, we go to the next joint that's an acceptable connection. We don't want to connect the new plastic to junk sewer, because that's just going to be a problem within a couple weeks, could be just within a year or so. But that would explain the discrepancies in the distances. You'll notice the 0 foot, that's for homes that already had existing plastic and we just reconnected them. And you can compare that to what we sent out for the estimates. So we're still kind of in line with what we had sent out for estimates. If you take a look at the homeowners estimated and the projected city amount. So just put those on for comparison. Cost was a little bit higher per lineal foot. You'll notice the difference between the estimated. There's a 5 foot difference to the constructed amount. That was just based on bid prices. So we were a little bit under on what the actual bid prices were.
Thank you, Dave. Who has the first question for Dave? No questions from the committee or from the council? Are there any members of the public that have a question or would like to speak, Aaron? Apparently you're seeing nothing right now, Aaron? I think we're not going to hear from anyone else, so we'll entertain a motion to close this public hearing.
Move to close the hearing. We'll try this again.
Or
Okay, we have a motion and support. Any comments or questions? Last chance. Hearing none. Those in favor, thumbs up and a yay.
Aye.
Opposed would be thumbs down and a nay. And it looks like that motion is passed. We've closed the hearing. The next item would be to adopt a resolution ratifying the Special Assessment District Roll Number 3 for 2018, establishing a payment schedule and setting an interest rate for the sanitary sewer leads on Pleasant Avenue. And Sarah, I believe this is the same program, 5 years and probably the same interest rate, 1.82?
correct.
So moved.
Support.
Comments? Seeing none. All those in favor would be a thumbs up and a yay.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed is thumbs down and a nay. Looks like that motion is passed as well. Thank you very much. Moving down to item number 3 is a public hearing to receive comments on a proposed application for a community development block grant for improvements at the wastewater treatment plant. Your pleasure to open the hearing.
Move to open the hearing.
Support.
We have a motion to support. All those in favor, thumbs up and a yay.
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 Any opposed, thumbs down and a nay. Looks like the hearing is opened. David, are you going to do this or is this going to be Matt?
I can do this. I believe John Tanner from OHM was going to be here to assist with this. So I'll first ask if he's out there anywhere in the audience.
I didn't see John's name, David.
Okay. That's why I was kind of panning around earlier. So I apologize for the inconvenience or anything. He was going to be here to assist with any technical questions on that. If any of the commissioners remember, 2 weeks ago, we talked about setting this up and trying to move forward with this Cdbg grant funding. What this is some renovations over at the wastewater plant, basically dealing with nutrient loads and trying to better process the material that we're getting in over there. And we've had a consistent issue. If you remember back 2 weeks ago, we talked about we're having a reduced amount of food for the bacteria to digest over there. And this is a way to try to slow down the influent material and give the bacteria more time and more material to eat, better utilizing what materials they do have. And attached to your packet, it lists the costs out that we're estimating and what's involved with those. But I can go through and explain these to you. The total amount that we're looking for is a little over $1.2 million. That's for the grant funding that we're asking for. And it's up to the commission if they so choose to move forward with this grant funding. Minimum would be 10% match funds. We can go up to 15%, 20%, 25%. Just like any grant, the more that we put down, the more that we match, the higher point scale we get to make it so it's more attainable to get the grant. We do have a decent shot at this from what I keep understanding and keep hearing. So what we're looking at doing is putting in some baffle walls in our anaerobic selector tanks. If everybody sees the tanks that are across the road on Washington Road, putting in baffle walls, what that would do is slow the flow of material down going through those tanks. So we put up more barriers, try to hold them on site longer. Putting in a compressed air mixing system, package aeration blower, mixed liquor return pumps. So there'd be some additional pumps over there, additional air piping and valving, dissolved oxygen instrumentation and controllers. That would be an automation type system. So where if it detects any kind of anomalies or changes in conditions over there, it can automatically update those or make the necessary changes without having to bring staff in to deal with it. Master control panel, that's a part of that as well. Building for the aeration and mixing equipment, and then some electrical upgrades over there to accept all of this new plumbing. High flow sludge transfer pumps for tanks 3 north and 4 north. Relocate the existing sludge pump in tank 2 north. Relocate and reconnect the sludge pumps and change some of the discharge piping and additional valving in there. And also with the idea of a high strength food wasting storage and feed system. If If you remember, we talking about we're running out of carbonaceous material. We're seeing a reduction in that, and this would allow us to put in a system to introduce that carbonaceous material over there for the bacteria to feed on. Also breaking down that material much more efficient and in a way that's needed to maintain Eagle standards. So that's a very brief synopsis of what we're looking at. And that's what's included with what we are asking for the CDBG grant. And I'll open it up to any questions.
David, how current are these numbers? These were worked from last week, correct?
Yes, correct. They were as of Thursday morning.
Okay.
First question.
Dave, what's your recommendation on terms of what we should match?
My thoughts are, I mean, obviously there's the 10%. I like the idea of 20. That gets us additional points. You can go to 15 or 20, but it also is going to be dependent on how much the commission looks to obviously the more money we have for match, the more likely we are to attain this funding.
Just for clarity, David, the match comes out of our water bills, right? Or waste.
Correct. It's you add your water bills, but that's part of the wastewater comes out of your water bills. Correct.
If we decide to pay more, we're subsequently going to be charging our residents more.
Yes.
But also,
this is out of our fund. This is out of our fund balance for wastewater department, and then obviously we've got rates that address that, and we are looking at a rate increase regardless of how this grant funding turns out.
David, have you done any studies, or is there a way to do a study to find out why the flow or the product we're receiving has changed over time?
We have not done an actual study on that. What we have found is over time, the last 5 years, we're seeing it. It's been a steady decline. What we're suspicious of is there's been some industrial changes to the system as far as what we may get. Could be we aren't seeing the types of users dumping like they used to. One theory is that maybe there's a source where we could be somehow losing it, but I don't put much into that because it's been a very steady decline. When I look at that reduction, if you can see my hand, I apologize, we're on Zoom, but it's been a very lineal decline. It's not like it was steady and then we just lost it, which would imply some type of a leak, if you will, in the system. It just seems like it's been a gradual change over the time, which to me implies some type of a user change, a process change, something of that nature. But it is a problem that we're not seeing get any better, and it's making it more difficult for us to digest the material that we're getting.
Do you know, is there a decline in overall volume, gallons of water going through the system?
There has been as a part of the I&I project, but those two are not interconnected because the I&I project would be clear water from sump pumps, sanitary drain, or stormwater. That would not have any carbonaceous material in it, anything in it. Think of organic matter.
But this should actually be helping that issue, right? If getting rid of
we
the
wouldn't
I&I.
change it at all. We would just have more flow, but not still the lack of the material that the bacteria needs. So we have seen a reduction in the flow for sure, but it doesn't go hand in hand with what the issues that we're seeing are, which is a good question. But no, that would not help us with our cause, having additional I&I.
Dave, I've been muted, I'm shouting at myself. What is the ultimate consequence of not being able to process this? And there sounds like a sense of urgency from you folks. Are we going to be putting bad water out, or why is this so important, basically?
What we would be doing is using more material, more chemicals to try to treat the wastewater, which is extremely inefficient because that costs us more money to treat it. Number two is if we don't move forward with doing this type of project where we're trying to slow down the loss of the material, trying to keep the material in the plant longer, we would have to introduce some type of a carbonaceous material injection port in there, which could imply having to purchase material to insert into the plant to inject, if you will, to keep the bacteria well fed and keep them digesting. If we don't have that, then we could run into permitting issues for our wastewater permit requirements. Those are kind of down the road, but we definitely want to be ahead of those.
Okay, just the sense of urgency is there, and I just want to know what the consequence was for not doing this.
Yep, the urgency is here right now just because of the grant. this came along and it has the expedited timeline, and that's why we had to move so quickly with this and why we're here in front of you folks tonight with it so quickly. It is a problem that is not going away. It is a problem we've identified through our SAW grant study that for the commissioners that have been here for a number of years, you've heard us talking about that for the last 5, 6 years. And we did have the findings of that were presented last year. These projects that we've identified as part of the Cdbg grant fund are ones that would qualify for, that came out of the SAW grant study, that qualify for this grant fund. And that's why we're trying to pursue this opportunity and not leverage potentially as much for what could be coming from the COVID relief fund.
I have a question. Can you
Yes.
just clarify for me? Because you said one thing and Greg said another thing. Is the money, the match money, coming out of taxpayers or citizens' bills, or is it a fund balance that you have?
I'm sorry, the money comes from people's water sewer bills. The sewer bills are part of your water bill. It comes from that. It's from that enterprise fund. So it comes from the bills that have already been paid. This is through our funding allotment in those funds.
To be clear, though, the money is the match,
Yes.
not the whole amount. So if we get a 10%, 20, 30, we recoup that over a period of time. Okay, it's the match.
That's how obviously you know how the balance is built. So that's how the balance has been built through the time with the, that's
Wanted to clarify.
That's not the sole reason we're looking for the percentage increase we talked about earlier. We haven't done one in a few years, but it's definitely tied to that.
Yes.
Yeah.
What do the smaller facilities do when they have less material, like smaller than us?
Well, what they would do is put in some type of a carbonaceous injection pump, and they would have to source that material, whatever that may be. We've looked at several different options. One of them is actually beer yeast would be a good option for it, but then you'd have the trucking. The estimates that we have come up with, we would use approximately 100 gallons a day if we were to buy that. So over the course of a month with trucking that in, you can see where that could be a cost increase. So what we're looking at with this is the idea to see if we can do some, I'm going to call it at this point, minor changes to the plant before we would have to go and do some type of a long-term fix with buying additional material.
Okay.
If I recall, David, there are additional needs at that plant as well. This
Very much
isn't
so.
going to be the ultimate fix and we're done for 5-10 years.
No.
Just off the back of the napkin, overall, what is your current estimate of the needs to upgrade everything at that plant to get it where you want it to be today?
Yep. Based on what we had talked about in the spring of 1 year ago, anywhere between 8 to 10 million. This would take at least a little over $1 million off of that. Bear in mind, we were also looking at some improvements to the collection system as a part of that. But definitely for the wastewater plant itself, we'll be looking at anywhere between $5 and $7 million for sure. And this would subtract $1 million from that total amount. So we could leverage this money against additionals that we would have to use later on down the road. So this opportunity came along so we can ask for less money later, less of an impact. And it also makes it so we're not doing such a large improvement all at once, trying to take this piecemeal as funds become available.
So we would
Yes, sure.
increase now, and then when we get to the project, we'd have to increase more to cover that 5 or 6 million.
Later on, when we take into account the bigger projects that Greg was talking about, because we also have the clarifiers. We have identified that they're too shallow, actually, and so that's one of our problems. And each one of those clarifiers is going to be at least $500,000 each to do the replacements on those. One idea would be to replace where they're currently at. Another idea would be to relocate them. If we relocate them, that gives us more options as far as our disinfection. You've heard me talk in the past about getting off chlorine gas. One option would be to go to UV disinfection. If we are able to move those clarifiers to another location, UV becomes much more viable. If we're not, then we're looking at more like a sodium hypochlorite conversion, fancy word for bleach. There are a number of The plant's very outdated. It's the last time I seen any kind of improvements were the early 70s. So a lot of the mechanical work in their piping is definitely aged and it's not helping it, which doesn't help with the efficiency and how the plant processes material. So those were all things that were identified as a part of the SAW grant funding that need replacement. So if we can take it apart as the CBDG grant that's come along, that helps it to where we're not asking for so much money later on, either for A, grants, or B, low interest loans, which if grant money is not an option, then we would have to try to leverage loans for that amount to be at least, I'm going to guess right now say off the top of my head right now, $5 to $7 million. We would have to leverage loans, then pay those back. So any grant money that we can have, that's less loan money that we would have to pay back in the future when we do decide to go forward with those changes, which are recommended. And in the next 5 years, we've identified them in the CIPs that will need to happen.
So Matt, how much can we afford to match?
Well, if you look at the different amounts here, I think Dave brought up an interesting point earlier. It's where's our best leverage point again? I mean, that best leverage point that we're not, it's making that decision. We're not overdoing it where we could have probably still got in. When I talked to Mr. Tanner the other day, he, like Dave said, feels very, very confident in where we are. But we know I would be in that position. I don't ever want to put us, especially when you talk about how many things we have coming down the road, that we pull so much out of that fund balance that it hurts us later. I do see John's come on now. I do see John has popped in. So I would be much more comfortable to get past the 10, but in maybe that 15% somewhere in that area.
What do you have in the fund balance right now, Matt? Do you recall? I don't have those numbers in front of me. Do you have it
in front of me in a second? If you go ahead.
About $2 million?
John is on there. I think it's a little more than that, Greg. Let me pull it up. Should have been in that document. I can get that for you in just a second. While if John wants to jump in, I'll grab that so we know exactly where that sits.
Yep, I apologize for the delayed access to the meeting. I was having internet issues. What you guys want to be at is at least 16%, because that'll bump you into the next level of the point schedule. Anything, 10% is the minimum that's acceptable for the Cdbg grant, but 16% pushes you into the next point level. And then you have to be up to, I believe it's 25% to be in the next point level. And it's all based on points that you get as you scored for your submittal.
So if we go 17 to 24, it does us no good beyond 16 then, is that correct?
Exactly, yes. If you're 16 or above, you get those points. If you're higher than that, it's fine, but until you get to 25%, you don't get any more points. So, I mean, I can't say that the people that are scoring it don't look at what your level is at and say this person or this community versus another community gets more. I don't know what they do as far as that goes, but based on their score level, 16% or above gets you more than 10%.
Thank you. I guess since this is a public meeting, John, would you mind giving us a little bit about your background, who you're with, and what your area of expertise is?
Sure, sorry. I'm with OHM Advisors. I've been with them since 2012. Previously I worked for I worked for Rowe, and I helped the community through year 1, 2, 3 for your the grant work or the work that was done with your previous wastewater system. And then in 2012, I moved on to OHM Advisors. And when I was with that company, I worked with you guys for the Grashie County Water Authority and helped you put together or do the construction and design through that. So over the years, I've worked with Elma through 2 different companies since 2009, I guess. And we've worked with Dave a little bit. Since then, we were the company that completed your SAW grant. That was the asset management and the capital improvement plan that identified several of the, all of the projects that we're proposing for the Cdbg grant that are all recommendations based on the age of your system and the difficulties of your system to be able to handle the nutrient loading and just better treatment system for that. And then earlier this year, like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, we talked with Dave about possibly going for this grant because it is grant monies. There is a minimum match of 10%, but it's typically when you're looking at doing work in the municipal arena, anytime you can get grant money, that's always a benefit to be able to try to shoot for that. So that's why we pass this along to Dave, and the discussion with Darren about things that are needed upgraded for your system. We actually had a meeting with one of the suppliers that would be potentially a supplier for this type of work, and the information that we identified in your SAW grant, asset management plan, capital improvement plan, I think everyone agreed that this is kind of the direction that is the best for the city for their wastewater treatment plant. And so that's kind of where we're here right now.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Did you have a fund balance number, Matt?
Greg, we're over 6, just about 6.4. So
That's a pleasant surprise.
that will help us set for the future, but definitely you can see how easily this can bite into that.
Yes. Okay. Did you have any other thoughts, Dave, Matt, or John? Anything else you wanted to share, or comments, questions from the commission?
Dave, is there a time frame for the grant, or when?
Yeah, I can contribute to that. Basically, this was a short-term opportunity. The grant is actually due at the end of the month, so all of the discussion and decisions that you make tonight are pretty much is your last chance to basically gain access to this. My understanding is there may be another round, but we never know if there's going to be another round of this or not, but it would be a year from now. So your decision tonight will determine whether or not the city submits an application at the end of the month or waits. And I guess if Dave has more to add to that, I don't know.
But like if there's another round, we have other projects too. So would we be eligible for the second round if we got this one?
There has never been a requirement that you aren't eligible if you haven't. What in their application, they usually ask, do you have an active grant going with us currently? And I can't say that doesn't apply to this, but there's the potential that you could get this and then you could get the next round too. So what I typically, and I think I told Dave, is why not apply for this and then see what happens? And then if not, you move on to the next one. But we've had communities that have got grants for 2 years in a row for consecutive grants. So it's not going to hurt you to apply for this now.
Dave, so it sounds like we got kind of that 16%, that magic number. So if we don't pay that 16%, it's either 16% now or 100% in 5 years is kind of what you're saying.
So it's the way I'm looking at it, unless there's other grant funding available. But based on what John has recommended, we can by all means do 10%. I would recommend, we were talking about this number last week, John and I were discussing, he threw out the number around 15. So if 16 gets us that next point scale up, that would be my recommendation if the commission is so inclined. If there's more, then that's an option as well. But it came on short notice. We didn't want to overlook this, especially based on what we're finding with this economic recovery bill, that there's plenty of other projects, at least water and wastewater, that we can find to use that money for as well. But if we can have extra money left over from that for other projects, by all means, that's fine. So I would recommend at least 16% with this is my position anyhow.
And the other benefit from this is these grants, they evaluate what the impact for the community is. And one of the reasons why we recommended to Dave that you do wastewater treatment plant upgrades is it benefits the whole community. There's no question about whether or not I guess as an example, if you're improving storm sewer or sanitary sewer in one street, there's always the question whether or not that benefits the whole community. Upgrading your wastewater treatment plant, it's an easy sell that it benefits the entire community. So in the eyes of the Cdbg grant and the people that do the scoring, this is an easy sell for them. You don't have to question that side of it. So that was the other reason why we looked at this, because there were other things that the asset management plan and the capital improvement plan identified, but this is all wastewater treatment plant work, and it's just more easily described, I guess, and more easily defended.
So I would argue it also benefits all the communities downstream from us.
Yes, that is definitely one of the areas where they ask about public safety and health and wellness, and that is one of the areas that we would identify is there's the potential that if you move forward with this, it would reduce the nutrient load that's added to the Pine River, and downstream communities, everyone would benefit.
Tittabawassee and then Lake Erie.
Exactly.
Yes.
And in addition to that, one of the things that we discussed earlier today was there's always the potential that in the future, Eagle is going to require your treatment plant to reduce the nutrient loads that it contributes to the Pine River. This upgrade will significantly help that and put you in a better position to be able to do that in the future. So
the 16% match, I figure is like, it says 193,600, so about $200,000 to lever a $1.2 million project, right? Basically.
That would
basically,
be a fair,
yes.
yes, statement.
And John, you know our plan as well as anybody with all the work you guys have done out there. This is as we've talked about, an old plant with a lot of needs. In your mind, does this get us off to a really good start to look at the other things? I saw some eyes when I say the fund balance, and I get it, but we have some really major needs that are really high cost as we continue to go along. Is this a good place to start in your mind?
I guess short answer is yes, because the longer you wait for wastewater treatment plant upgrades, the more expensive it will get. The age of your facility right now, it's not a young system, and it will need upgrades in the future. I think with the asset management plan and the capital improvement plan, we identified, a significant amount of money that would be needed in the future. I guess if I had to say anything, it would be yes, this is a good place for you guys to put your money right now, because this will significantly help you to prepare for any future nutrient load requirements that you need to reduce that. In addition, it will help you as far as your storm sewer. I guess when there's a storm event, your system is somewhat susceptible to nutrient or to significant increases in flow capacity. These upgrades will help you with that. So it's kind of a two-pronged thing where it helps you with potential issues with storm sewer issues, in addition to just nutrient reductions, and it upgrades some of your facilities that are not the newest. So,
Hey, Greg, I would like to make the motion that we apply for the grant with the 16% match.
Gonna come next. We're in a hearing now.
Oh,
So we'll have to close the hearing and then we'll go to that next. So
all right. It's been so long that I didn't know what
yeah.
So
I like what you're thinking, but
yeah, yes, I feel like we know more than we need to.
I just did a quick calculation and 16% is 193.6.
I think Nick just did that a few minutes ago too.
Okay, so are we ready to close the hearing then? I'm sensing that we are.
I'm sure the commission is, but does anybody else in the public want to say anything? I don't know if they've had that opportunity.
True. Thank you, Tony. I forgot to, is there anyone from the public? Aaron, are you seeing anyone? Okay, so with that, if the commission is so inclined, we would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Or
Okay, last chance for any comments or questions.
Just before we close that out, I just wanted to add on.
Anybody, Dave?
Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry. I'll make it quick. When Matt talked about that $6 million fund balance, a little over $6 million, just keep in mind, yeah, that may sound like a lot, but when the business that we do each year, that we can spend that. So, Greg, you mentioned the one for the lift station on. I've talked about the lift station attributed to the Francisco project. That'll be next coming up. That's $1 million for that lift station. Where we can see it now, unless there's grant money, that'd be money on a fund balance. We also do sanitary sewer replacements, a number of those. So every opportunity for grant money is very much needed. So it doesn't take much to zap into that fund balance pretty quick.
But yeah, while you and that, Matt said give us the number of $6 million fund balance. You also told us while he was looking that up that we've got $6 million worth of repairs just to that plant. That doesn't count all the pipes, the collector pipes we have throughout the city that are 50 to 100 years old and in need of replacement as well.
You nailed it right on the head. So yeah, that's what I want to make sure that I illustrate that.
We probably have 50 or $60 million plus worth of need.
Hence the fund balance, or the rate increases that are much overdue. So sorry about that. Continue on.
Unfortunately, it's not fun stuff. I do believe we had a motion and support on the table. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So with that, everyone in favor, would be a thumbs up and a yay.
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 Anyone opposed to closing the hearing, would be a thumbs down and a nay. Seems like everyone's in favor of that. So we have closed our hearing. Next, we'll entertain a motion to adopt a resolution authorizing the Cdbg grant application for funds to make improvements at the wastewater treatment plant together with a local match and to designate the city manager as environmental review certifying officer. Your pleasure.
I would make
Audra?
that motion to move ahead with the 16% match.
Support.
We have support. Any comments or questions? I think we've probably beat that horse to death. So hearing none, all those in favor would be a thumbs up and a yay.
Yay.
Aye.
Opposed would be thumbs down and a nay. Motion's passed. Thank you very much. And thank you, John and Dave, Matt, everybody for the discussion. It was a great discussion, hopefully educational for all of us. So moving on to item 4, we'll set a public hearing for Tuesday, June 22nd, 2021 at 6 p.m. or as soon thereafter as the agenda will allow to consider an application for an obsolete property rehabilitation exemption certificate for 120 East Superior LLC, 116, for 116, 118, and 120 East Superior Street. The purpose of the OPRA is to assist with the creation of a new commercial space and residential apartments in the downtown. The OPRA district was established on May 14th of 2019. Your pleasure to set the hearing.
Move to set the hearing.
Support.
Comments or questions? Matt or Eric, anybody want to give any quick background? I think we've talked about this.
Again, Greg. Yep, this is another great project. Nancy and Zach have been working a long time at this, and a little bit closer. Like was mentioned, the district was set in May 14th, 2019, and obviously we do the application requires a public hearing, and that's what we're setting for our next meeting.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? None. Those in favor, be a thumbs up and a yay.
Yay.
Any opposed?
Yay.
Looks like that motion is passed. Thank you. We have set that hearing. Our next item would be under F, recommendation on bids, and we are to consider a resolution to receive bids for the annual sidewalk construction project and award the project to the recommended bidder. The following bids were received on May 5th, 2021. The recommended bidder is J&N Concrete from Mount Pleasant, Michigan, with a bid of $67,480. And that's the low bid. The high bid was $79,850, and then there was a third bid was in between at $77,455. So, your pleasure.
Move to approve.
Support.
Motion to approve the recommended low bidder, acceptance of the low bid, I guess. Any questions or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor would be a thumbs up and a yay.
Yay.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Thumbs down and a
Yay.
nay. Okay. The motion has passed. Thank you. We'll move down to resolutions. First up is consideration of a resolution to adopt the proposed fiscal year 2022 annual city budget. Your pleasure.
Move to adopt the budget.
Support.
Or Matt, words of wisdom.
And starting right off, I'm going to give you, I'd like to make it that we do amend it. There is a $30,000 difference as I went through last week, and we went to the end to say exactly where are these figures to make sure everything matched up. In the police side, what is listed here is $1,512,250. In their contracts, the 801 contracts should have been 60,000. So that would be an increase that I'd like us to amend to. That would be to $1,542,250. And so it does make a change to our bottom line. Then in the end of expenditures from $4,406,665 to $4,436,665. The last 2 years have been 57,000, 56,000 for contracted fees, which include all of our fees inside, and somehow got in there as a 30,000, which is not the appropriate number. As opposed to coming back later after figuring that out, I'd like to get that out front right away.
Thank you, Matt. So let's see, we had a resolution. We probably need to rescind that and adopt or ask for a revised resolution or a revised.
I probably should have done that before we did that portion. I was trying to figure out where I'm supposed to fit that part in.
Who made the motion?
Can we do a friendly amendment to the resolution to just accept it as updated?
That's
That
what
would be fine with me. Tony, are you okay with that?
I'm okay with that.
All right, thank you. So,
I have
Any
a
additional-
question.
sure.
Go ahead, Michelle.
What happened with that $95,000 increase at the fringe benefit of the transit department?
Those are, we took straight fringe for the additional folks that are going to be here under the expansion. And if you look at that number under that 95,000, that is the straight number of the 30%. And we, to be honest, didn't factor in based on either full-time, part-time. We took a straight 30% of wages.
So we're adding that many people to transit.
Yeah, there could be as many if we could hire them, if we could get people. There could be an additional 12, at least 12 drivers by the time we're done.
That leads me to a thought, because historically we haven't been fully funding pensions. Are we going to make sure we fully funded the pension for this, or our pension obligations?
You mean for the expansion?
Yeah, well, for that system.
For that system, there's the
There are
increase.
partners involved.
I'm sorry?
Since there are partners involved, we want to make sure it's fully funded.
At the rates that we are currently, it should be fully funded to where we are today. And that would be the discussion we'll have to have as we continue forward to make sure that those are there.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, we had a motion on the table, so those in favor, thumbs up and a yay.
Aye.
Opposed, be thumbs down and a nay.
Nay.
Okay. Moving down to number 2, consideration of a resolution to approve a 3% increase in water rates, including the readiness to serve fee to become effective July 1, 2021.
Move to approve.
Support.
Have motion support. Any comments or questions? And the note on here indicates that the last increase was made in July of 2018, and this is the water rate will increase 1,000 gallons from $2.98 to $3.07. So, again, any comments or questions? And hearing none. All those. Matt, did you have something to say?
No, this goes along with the last discussion we were having of continuing to try and stay in front of some of this.
Yeah, just to maintain a fund balance. So, all those in favor, be a thumbs up and a yay.
Aye.
Aye.
Be opposed or thumbs down and a nay. The motion is passed. Thank you. Number 3 is consideration of a resolution to approve a 3% increase in wastewater rates, which includes the readiness to serve fee, and it will become effective July 1, 2021. And the wastewater rate unit charge per 1,000 gallons will increase from $3.60 to $3.71. And again, the last rate increase was July 1, 2018. So your pleasure here.
Move approval.
Support.
One of you we support?
Yes.
Okay. We have motion and support. Comments, questions, or any background? Matt? Same item, same issue.
Same real issue. The first one was actually water. This is wastewater. Same thing as the upgrades that we're going through.
Okay. Hearing no comments. All those in favor, be a thumbs up and a yay.
Yay.
Any opposed? To be a thumbs down and a nay. The motion is carried. Thank you. Our next item is consideration of a resolution concurring with Grashie County's approval of a 116 to 120 East Superior Street Redevelopment Brownfield Plan. Your pleasure.
Move approval.
Support.
Motion and support. I don't know who's going to take this. Jim, there you go. You're on. Did you want to get some background here?
Sure, I'll give you a kickoff to it. First off, this is a nice project that we're looking at right in the heart of downtown. It's 3 buildings that are going to be totally renovated for upstairs apartments, and then actually 2 apartments on the first floor, along with 3 offices or either office commercial space on the first floor. This did go through our Brownfield Redevelopment Committee on May the 12th and was approved. But the dollars are pretty significant here. It's a big project. It's almost $3.5 million. Attributed to the Brownfield Authority is $686,707 that can be recaptured as far as part of this. Again, I think as I've explained on some of these buildings, how they qualify for a brownfield is functional obsolescence. Again, older buildings that were built with other purposes in mind that now are being redeveloped for apartments and other types of commercial space that traditionally wasn't there before. But when you get into these projects, there's significant demolition, it's basically a complete remodel of everything, just right down to the bricks as far as that goes. And then the pieces that get tied into the brownfield are asbestos, lead activities, and then interior and demolition and those type of costs that you get into. Again, for those of you that aren't familiar with the Brownfield Authority, that what this really does is allows to somebody to either make a decision about taking an older facility and doing a project like this versus going to someplace and building it, basically start over and come up from the ground up. And a lot of times those costs are cheaper than what you see in trying to redevelop. But meanwhile, your downtowns dissipate because you have dilapidated buildings with very little use in them. And so it's a great program, and it's supported pretty heavily by the state. In the case of this project, we're looking at a situation where the state will commit into it on the Brownfield side, we'll pay about 58% of it. And then the local piece of it will be about 42%. And MEDC has been real supportive of these type of projects where we're having second story living. I think all of us are kind of experienced, what's happened now with the Opera House and the kids living downtown and the volume of people that have happened down there. So makes for, I think, a really great project and one that will really enhance our downtown. And, the two developers are sitting here, obviously, Nancy and Zach pretty well, and from where they're going, have their offices committed to it. But this is a huge expansion for them to have the living quarters in the downtown. Happy to answer any questions about it, but appears to be quite a project.
Do you have any questions for Jim at this point? Looks like he's kind of off the hook.
Yeah.
Have that.
For now.
Yeah, that'll go to the DDA also has to concur because it's in the downtown development district. Then it goes to the county for their approval. And then given the size of this project, it'll go to the MSF board, which will be down in Lansing for that. So it's quite a process, but it's one that, like I say, it's a lot of dollars, but huge commitment to our community.
Maybe it's just my tired state of mind, but or maybe I'm just getting old. What is the difference between this and the Oprah that we just established for the same pieces of property?
The Oprah that you established down here really freezes your property tax at the current value level that you have, Roger, for a given period of time. Okay, and then so that's a freeze that they have. What this does is allows for taxes that are paid into it to then be captured. So what happens is right now for the first 12 years in an Oprah, really the state is going to be paying the majority of it because we've frozen the taxes. So there really isn't a TIF. There isn't any increased dollars locally that can be collected for it. So they'll go along for 12 years, have the Oprah, and then the dollars that would go in that they still, because the state doesn't recognize an Oprah, that's only local dollars. So they would continue with the increase because they do all these improvements. The taxable value of it increases dramatically. So they're able to capture those dollars. Then after the 12 years falls off from the Oprah, then everything goes to the current value at that point. And then they start collecting some of the local dollars to make up the balance of it. So what the Oprah really does for you, Roger, is allows for the first 12 years to really have the state paying the majority of the cost of the rebate to them versus locals to it. So it works as allowing to be in combination, allows them to really, it allows our local community basically to leverage the state for some pretty good sized dollars in this.
Now hearing that explanation, I should have known that, but okay. Thanks, Jim.
Yeah, no problem.
It is really an alphabet soup, as much as we're all familiar with these programs, does get confusing, but I think really you need all of them to make these economically viable projects, because otherwise, I mean, we all know you can't rent these properties in our lovely little small towns for enough to do the project. It wouldn't be feasible without it. And these projects are to facilitate really allowing us to maintain our downtown. So fingers crossed. But
Absolutely. Thanks, Nance.
The alternative, as Jim said, is to go to new construction, on a new piece of dirt, where you don't have all the issues with an old building to deal with, other than the fact that the town is left, if the developer goes someplace else with a new piece of dirt, we still have that old building to deal with in our town. So this is really a win for the town in rehabilitating this old structure that now lives among us and will be functional again. So it really is a win-win for the community.
And I think it is a win-win. It really is. So.
Are there any additional questions or anything anybody would like to say about the project? Zach, you've been quiet.
That's unusual.
I speak when I have something to say, Greg. Everybody's covering what needs to be said, so I'm just observing and smiling. Thank you.
We didn't want you to be left out. So.
I appreciate that.
No, it's all good.
I'm not hearing any other questions at this point, so we'll go ahead with our vote. All those in favor, be a thumbs up and a yay.
Yay.
Any opposed? Again, thumbs down and an A. The motion is passed, so thank you very much.
And thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for the city's support.
Yep, thank you for your investment. We're looking forward to see this building come back to life, or these buildings come back to life.
We are too.
So are we.
Take care.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you both.
Okay, moving down to number 5, we'll consider an amendment to Resolution 2021-0064 MDOT Annual Performance Resolution, amending the 2021 banner and street closures table to include closures on July 24, 2021 for Celebrate Alma Day and October 1st, 2021 for the Alma High School Homecoming Parade.
Move to approve.
Or
I have a motion and support. Any comments or questions? The other thing, we've got the high school homecoming here. Did we already do the college, or are they not planning a parade?
Yeah, it's already on there, Greg.
Right,
Last time we approved those is to get them done. Then we finally got the homecoming date and parade, and then of course the Celebrate Alma Day on the 24th of July. So we just had to amend that to include those 2 items.
Thank you, Eric. Anyone else have questions? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, thumbs up and a yay.
Aye.
Opposed, thumbs down and an A. The motion is passed. Thank you. Moving to ordinances, we'll consider a resolution to adopt ordinance number 819 to amend Chapter 6 of the ordinances of the City of Alma, specifically Article 2, Section 60-36, rules applying to text and definitions. Your pleasure.
Move to approve.
Support.
We have motion support. Matt or Eric, are you going to give us?
Yep, I can get some color on it. This is dealing with parking pads within the residential districts. The changes in the definitions give more defined locations of those parking pads, where they should be. And then something new to it is the type of material and size of material to be used for the parking pad. We're hoping that addition to it will help with some of the issues we have sometimes with erosion of a gravel driveway that might not meet this new standard that erodes into the street and then of course into our stormwater system. So we're hoping that helps us with letting people know what we're looking for with those parking pads. And then with this also where we're looking to have those pads to be located.
Thank you, Eric. Questions or comments? I know it's been quite a while since we talked about this one.
Yep.
Kind of got dropped in the mess with COVID. Are there any questions? Yeah. Eric, while everybody else is thinking, something comes to mind. I think when we were discussing this through the process, because this is kind of a big deal, is there a marketing plan to get the word out to people, how to comply with this? What's expected?
Yes, indeed. After tonight's approval, we do have our first piece of material to go out in the water bills, just to start the knowledge portion of it. We expect that it'll take us, a year or so to get everybody up to speed on what we're looking for. I'm sure we're going to have a lot of one-to-one with folks to let them know how we're going to work with them to get under this this new standard. But right away we will have information in the upcoming water bill to get everything started.
It is a rather significant change, and probably notice to our local landscaping firms would be in order too. So people that do this work.
Yeah, definitely.
Make sure that they're up to speed and they can suggest it to folks when they're designing things.
Good idea. Definitely.
Okay. I believe we had a motion support. Is there any other questions? Hearing none, those in favor, be a thumbs up and a yay.
Yay.
Aye.
Any opposed, be a thumbs down and a nay. That is passed. Consideration next of a resolution to adopt ordinance number 820 to amend Article 8, 8, Section 60-209-2, Design Standards for Off-Street Parking. Your pleasure.
So moved.
Support.
Motion support. I think this is the second piece of what we just talked about. Is that true, Eric?
That's true. Yep.
Any comments or questions on this? Hearing none. All those in favor, be a thumbs up and a yay.
Aye.
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 Thumbs down and an A. And that has passed. Moving on to reports. The commissioners may receive the following reports by one resolution, or any commissioner may remove any item within the section for individual discussion and vote. And we have three this evening: the Police Department April 2021 report, the Downtown Development Authority minutes of May 13th, 2021, and the City Manager report. Your pleasure.
Matt, do you want to talk, or we've discussed it already?
Yeah, please let me just real brief. So I'll do it at the comment section at the end, Michelle, so we don't have to pull it.
Okay.
That'll work. Thank you.
I move to receive all three.
Support.
Okay, with motion support, any comments or questions? Last chance. All those in favor, thumbs up and a yay.
Aye.
Yay.
Any opposed, thumbs down and an A. That motion is passed. We have received the reports. We'll move down to appropriations. Is there any interest in paying the bills this evening?
Move we pay the bills.
Support.
Okay, we have motion support. Are there any comments on the list of invoices we're paying? Hearing none tonight. Those in favor would be thumbs up and a yay.
Yay.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed would be thumbs down and an A. And that motion is passed as well. We'll move on to commissioner comments. Let's start tonight with Michelle.
Looking forward to Friday. So hope to see everybody downtown for the Highland Festival experience. And I want to thank all the volunteers that came out to plant our flowers for Keep Elma Beautiful for our downtown, and the farmers market, and DPW guys for setting them out tomorrow. So thank you. And just a friendly reminder, if you see trash or weeds, go ahead and help keep our little downtown beautiful. That's all.
Roxanne.
Sorry, was that Greg?
No, Roxanne. I'm sorry. I had Roxanne next.
I'm just glad to see interest in our downtown, and happy birthday, Mayor. And enjoy your week.
Danny.
Really just the big thing is just prayers out to the Martin family for this past Monday. I don't know if everyone's heard, but you know, they had a pretty serious family event, and just like I said, thoughts and prayers out to them. So.
Okay, thank you, Danny. Audra.
I do not have anything tonight. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Nick.
Nothing to add. Looks like a great weekend coming up.
Roger. Roger.
You may have seen a posting on Facebook as part of the upgrading of the whole downtown. The reconstruction and revitalization of the Strand is coming pretty close to being done. We received 240 brand new chairs this past Saturday that have gone into the remodeling and the redesign of the theater. And the seating in there, it's really looking wonderful. Like I said, there are some pictures on Facebook. We had a lot of help. I had 22 people out there and unwrapping chairs and getting them all set up. The theater looks really, really nice. These are freestanding chairs that do kind of lock together, but they are much more comfortable than what we had before. You've got about 4 feet of leg room between rows of chairs. I think we all went and sat in a row in the middle of the place somewhere, and It really, really looks nice and they're really comfortable. We kind of can't wait to get started in October. We have not quite reached our $100,000 goal. If you would still like to buy a chair and have your name put on a chair, that can still be done. $250 a chair buys you a chair. That doesn't buy you a seat for every performance, but that buys a chair there with your name on it that you can say, this is from me. And there are ways to do that on www.grashiecountyplayers.com. That's it.
Hey, thank you, Roger. Sarah, anything you'd like to share?
No, nothing for me. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Tony.
Yeah, just a little. We were downtown, Teresa and Vinny and I, last Saturday, and for the chalk drawing and whatever, and it was wonderful to see all the people downtown again. You really get the feeling we've turned the corner, and I'm sure this weekend is going to be even better. It's a long time coming. I think everybody in the city should be commended for all that they've been through, all the businesses and everything else too. I think for the most part, we pulled together and did what had to be done, and I think everybody ought to get a round of applause, and hopefully this weekend we'll be back to as close to normal as possible.
Hey, thank you, Tony. Matt.
I just wanted to update two things. Of course, I put things out in the newsletter, and then 5 minutes before we come in here, I get emails that there have been some updates, and I had made reference to the bills that were before that we're going to be heading both the House and the Senate for hearings on the vacation properties. They did get kicked back. They got kicked out of the House Commerce and Tourism Committee, to let you know, but now it's going to the full House for a vote. There were some very minor changes made to the bill, but really there's a lot in jeopardy right now about local control as far as us being able to handle rental inspections and to make certain decisions on properties. So I will take the time tonight again to fire off some more emails. It's a little concerning. I've had a lot of talk with Aaron and Eric as to what this could lead to when we talk property rights and how we could have major changes. I get it when we're talking about folks being able to rent out their home on the lake, maybe to help pay their taxes or do something when they do it short term. But for some of us, local communities know what they need in their local community to be able to make these decisions. And so I know MML has really taken this up, and there's been a strong resistance to that. So we will see by morning if there's been any change, but I'll let you know on that. And then the second thing was just that the guidelines and some things have now come through from the American Rescue Plan for the unentitled cities. That's the 50,000 and below. We still don't have allocation amounts in Michigan, but we are looking at 644 million being spread across all of the municipalities here in the state of Michigan. So I'm going to propose that the next meeting I will bring to you really looking into, and just to see who may have some interest. And if you want to call me or talk with the mayor, I'd like to get a work group really of a couple commissioners, our staff members who are heavily involved in some of these decisions. And then we could get together, then select 3 or 4 members of the community that we can start to make these plans as we go forward for this American Rescue Plan. I think it's essential that we get some of that input and figure out how we're going to do that. So it looks like in the next couple of days, we'll have the allocated amounts and be able to start seeing some movement as far as the planning process. And that would be it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Matt. We appreciate you staying on top of that. I know it's trying to follow a bouncing ball, so it's quite a project just trying to stay on top of that, but it is very, very important that we do stay on top of it. So you keep bringing that knowledge to us. I'd like to just echo what everybody else said, condolences to the Martin family for their loss. The Strand Theater, the chairs are wonderful, Roger. You're absolutely, I believe they said that there's like 100 less chairs in there. So if you can imagine when we sat in there before, how tight those seats were, how short the leg room was. I sat in one of those chairs. There's an immense amount of leg room. The chairs are nice and wide, even for us larger Americans. So should accommodate everybody much more comfortably. Looking forward to the performances there. So, and I'd like to add my thanks to everyone that participated, both from the Chamber of Commerce organizing the chalk walk, and for all of the many participants that have artistic talent that came down. It was great to see downtown Elma buzzing Saturday with all those people drawing all those different squares. I was told that we laid out about 60 different squares available for people and gave them a box of chalk and some whatever tools. And I think 41 to 44 of them got colored in or had a drawing done. So great turnout for a first year. Looking forward to next year on that. Unfortunately, the rain came and washed a lot of that work away, but we'll try and look next year to see if we can make it last longer. But anyway, it was a great event. It felt like Tony said, we feel like we're getting back. I think that really felt to me like we're getting back. So all the work that Elma Aspires has done prior to COVID, I think everybody's ready to pick up. I feel a lot of enthusiasm in the community, and I'm sure we're going to pick back up where we left off before COVID. So very exciting times there. With that, we'll open up to the members of the public. Are there any members of the public that would like to address the commission at this time? And Aaron, are you seeing anyone? Like it's mostly staff. They're welcome to speak as well, though.
What's the process? Do I raise my hand or?
That's fine, yes.
Okay. I think everyone knows me. I'm Zach Everett. I live at 5633 North Winans Road in Elma. I actually live in Arcata Township, but with the Elma address. Three things. It was going to just be two, but one, thank you for your support tonight. This is a big project. It's been a long time coming, and we're hoping to be moving forward substantively within a few months. So we really appreciate that. I wanted to make an offer and a request to the commission. First, an offer. I was talking to the gentleman that handle our network here at our office and have for a number of years, Unified Network Consulting, this morning, and they were telling me about a project that they accomplished in St. Louis, sort of in partnership with Legal Tech Repair, but with the support of the DDA. And Legal Tech Repair offered to provide the bandwidth to provide free Wi-Fi to the entire downtown if the DDA agreed to provide the hardware infrastructure. And talking to them, Nancy and I talked about it this morning, and we would agree to provide the internet connection and the initial point of broadcast, I guess, on the top of one of our buildings, because we are centrally located in the downtown area. Someone else would have to take care of the cost of the hardware to get it out to the ends of downtown. And Shannon McKnight is on the meeting tonight. He could probably fill you in on what that is a little bit. He's one of the partners in Unified Network Consulting. But it sounded like it was a few $1,000s that the DDA had to come up with to do that, but now they can market it as having free public Wi-Fi in all of downtown in St. Louis. And with all the talk about all the things that we have going on in downtown, I thought I would throw it out there as an offer. We would be willing to provide that. The connection itself would be at no cost, but we're not going to pay for the thousands of dollars of hardware that need to go in to spread it out to the downtown area. So that's one thing. The request is, and thinking about it a little bit now, I think it's probably appropriate that I make it, since I was the one who made the first request in the first place for medical marijuana. But I did have the occasion to talk to the gentleman that owned Consume last week with respect to adult use marijuana in the city of Elma. They happen to own a couple of adult use dispensaries in Michigan. And I mean, to talk about the amount of sales that they get out of those stores versus a medical only store, it's dwarfed by it. And I looked at it, medical is being outsold almost 3 to 1 now in the state of Michigan as of the April report that the MRA put out. And I think all of you know I was an active part of all of those discussions that were had when the city decided to pass the ordinance for medical marijuana. I understood when the city opted out of the adult use side and why it did what it did when it did. I think everybody can agree there's been a lot that's changed in the last 2 years, and I would encourage the city to revisit that formally, because I think that Consume for sure is being hurt by it. We've authorized businesses to operate and then crippled them in the marketplace. You can go to Edmore, you can go to Mount Pleasant to buy adult use marijuana, people in Grashie County are buying marijuana. They're either buying it illegally or they're buying it somewhere else. So that's my 2 cents on that. So an offer for the internet, a request that the city take a look at adult use marijuana again, and the viability of that in the city, and allowing the medical only dispensaries that the city authorized, the 3 of them, to operate in the adult use marketplace.
Okay, thank you, Zach. And is it Shannon? I believe, Zach, you called you out. Did you have any comments that you want to share?
This is Shannon McKnight with Unified Network Consulting. He is correct. We just completed a project down in downtown St. Louis about 5 months ago with the downtown Wi-Fi project. What he was talking about, the cost of hardware. The cost of hardware, depending on how far we go, stretch through downtown. Each node is about $500 to $600 installed. So I believe St. Louis has 6 nodes, if I remember correctly, which gives them basically Wi-Fi from their pool area all the way up to the furniture store up on the corner. It's a great project and definitely a great opportunity for the city to boast some, free Wi-Fi, and, with a lot of the projects going, with a lot of the downtown activities going on, it would definitely, I think, benefit the city as a whole.
Thank you.
What's the life expectancy of a node? These things, the technology turns over pretty quickly. The amount of bandwidth people gobble up, how long does one of those last? How often we have to replace them?
The actual access point itself is very minimal. They're about $150 the actual hardware cost. We've had these outdoor access points in operation now for about 6 years, continuous use. In fact, a dealership right now there has had them up for 2 years running cameras. And each node is capable of running about 250 users, depending on your bandwidth, of course.
Okay, thank you.
Something that I think the DDA should look into, and I'm sure Eric is on the line here. I'm sure he'll put it on the agenda for that organization. In conjunction with, out in front of my house right now, they're working on installing fiber optic cable throughout the community. So we're all getting very, very used to having good high-speed internet wherever we go. Seems like a no-brainer to look into this at the very least. So I'm sure Eric will do that.
Yep, it's on the list.
Okay. Or is there anything else before we adjourn? If not, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn for the evening.
So moved.
Support.
Any additional comments or questions? Last chance. All those in favor, thumbs up and a yay.
Yay.
Hey.
Any opposed, thumbs down. Thank you very much. Everybody have a great evening. We are adjourned.